Welcome to Mysteries Niger. I'm your host, Esther. A young boy left school on one fateful day, and this day was like every other day. He goes to school, he learns, he gets home, and probably on his way home, he's thinking of one out of three things, which are technically the only things at the forefront of his mind at this stage in his life, which is one, football, which he is really, really good at, and maybe catches himself daydreaming a couple of times about being a successful international team footballer and just shining on the football field. And he plays football to the entertainment of everyone in the small village that he's from. Everyone loves him. He gathers with his friends and they play on this field. Most kids and other people interested in football or soccer all gather to watch them play, and most people come just to watch him. If they come and he's not there, some even lose interest in the sport for the day. They know he's really good. He knows he's really good, and it's his dream to become a footballer. But if he's not thinking of that, he's probably thinking of college. Which institution fits me best? Which institution offers courses that I want to learn? Which institution is affordable for us? Which institution do I actually really like? But if he's also not thinking of that, then he's definitely thinking of the film shop. It's his dad's shop. They sell discs for movies, comedies, football, music, every kind of entertainment. It's a kid's dream come true. All sorts of moving pictures. It was also one of my happy places. It's like Disney World. You go there, you see all these media that you could grab, whichever tickles your fancy. You take it home, you slip it into the disc player, you sit back and you enjoy. My mom used to take me there a lot as a reward for being good. And honestly, when I walked in there, I don't see anything else except for the animation aisle. I walk in there, I bolt straight to the animation aisle that has all sorts of my dream come true. From Walt Disney animations to Illumination to Pixar arts. My eyes would bulge out in excitement. All the Barbie collections, Disney Princesses collections, Avatar, Teen Titans, from Up on Poppy Hill, The Moving Castle, Castle in the Sky, Tom and Jerry. Those were obviously my favorites, and I'm sure he also had his own favorites, so he enjoyed his time there. But on this day, he knew I can't go to the football field because that's not what my parents and I agreed that I'll be doing today. So I'm going to head home, do my chores, and then head over to my dad's store, help with the business. Because every parents have certain skills that they want their children to learn to become contributing and decent member of the society. And he had to learn these skills by contributing to the family, whether it's helping the dad at the store or doing chores at home or just going out there to be a kid and build his childhood memories. So on this day, he walks home, he does his chores, and he heads to his dad's store. He gets there, says hello to the dad, starts helping around the store, when suddenly they hear gunshots outside of the store. Everyone's alarmed. What's going on? What's happening? They rush out. Police vans are pulling up to the store. They don't know why they're there. So they watch in curiosity. Police officers all get out of the van, walk towards the store, but there's someone else in the van that's still in there waiting. Police officers head over to the store, walk over to his dad, slip the cuffs on, and tell him he's been arrested. The world slows down for a minute. Why is my dad getting arrested? What did he do? Whatever it is you're arresting him for, he's not guilty. They take him to the van. As he's about to get into the van, the person who was sitting in the van the whole time tells the officers, "No, he's not the one you're looking for. It's him, the one over there." And he points at the son who is outside of the store watching the officers about to arrest his father. But the minute the father hears that, he doesn't want to know why they need his son. He doesn't know why this person's telling the officers to arrest his son instead. But he immediately turns to the son and tells him, "Run." He probably wanted to. He didn't know why the dad told him to run. Maybe he probably tried to run, but he froze. He couldn't walk. He couldn't move. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't understand what was happening. The world stopped, literally. A couple of officers started to walk towards him. Eventually, his legs started to move, one at a time, but then he stopped himself. "I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I run? No, I'm gonna face this head on. I did nothing wrong." So he turned around, stood where he was, and waited for the officers to catch up with him. He barely even ran. The officers walk up to him, grab him, and take him to the van. He gets into the van, and probably his dad's asking him, "Why didn't you run? Why didn't you run?" But in his young mind, he believed running was something guilty people did. I did nothing wrong, so I have nothing to run from. He was arrested and taken to the police station, and he had no idea that his life was about to change forever, and he would get locked up for 14 years and on death row for 8 years. Before we get into today's case, I have to mention that unfortunately today, my brain is also not really calibrating. It's buffering every single word I say before they come out of my mouth, and my speech impediment is also shining as well. I might count my words a bit more than the other episodes, and I'm sure you've noticed by now that I count my words a lot when I speak, and it's thanks to my ever-shining impediment that each word gets buffered before they come out of my mouth. I know what information I'm about to share, but suddenly all my vocabulary would just evaporate, so I have to think of the word it is I actually need for context before saying them out, and that ends with me counting my words. So please also to bear with me, and I believe over time, maybe the more I talk, the better I will get, I hope. So let's get into today's case, but first, disclaimer. This episode discusses real events involving armed robbery, presumed armed robbery, criminal prosecution, and capital punishment. Listener discretion is strongly advised. This information is presented based on publicly available reports, court coverage, available reports, documented account available at the time of production. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, some details may evolve, some details may be lost in communication. This episode is intended for informational and storytelling purposes only and does not seek to glorify crime or misrepresent any individuals involved. Discussions surrounding legal proceedings and sentencing reflect publicly reported information and broader public debate surrounding the case. I am not trying to provide any legal advice or professional legal opinions. Any opinions that are mine will be stated clearly, and please do your own research, form your own opinions, and draw your own conclusions. Segun Olowookere was born in January 28th of 1993, but when he was 17, he got arrested for a crime that he basically did not commit, according to the individual himself. According to his recount, he came home from school as every other day, as mentioned before, and on some days he goes to the field and plays with his friends. He was really good at football, and he was so good to the point that he was nicknamed Bado. That was to show how crazily good he was at football, that he's so good to the point that he's the baddest, in a good way, footballer on the field. And he always had dreams of becoming a professional footballer. On this day, he wasn't supposed to go to the field and play with his friends, but had to go to the store to help his dad with his business. So he gets home, he does his chores, and he heads to the dad's store. But then the police officers came, arrested the dad at first, were told, "No, you've got the wrong person, it's the son instead." So they came back and arrested him instead. He's taken to the station. He asks the officers why he's been arrested, but he didn't get any response until they got to the station. When they arrived at the station, there were 6 young boys who were arrested before Segun was arrested. So they took him straight to the boys and asked the boys immediately, "Is this a guy? Do you know him?" 5 out of the 6 boys said, "Yes, we know him. He's the one who asked us to commit the crime." Segun knew the boys, and the boys weren't lying. They did know him. They grew up together. You see, Segun came from a small village where everyone knew everyone. If you did something good, you were nice to someone, you stood up for someone, you were kind to someone, or you did anything remotely unique and outstanding, then everyone in the community would know your name. They know who you are. All the readily available information about you, they would know it. Even if you don't know them, since it's a small village, everyone knew everyone. So when the boys said, "Yes, we know him," they were saying the truth. But to Segun, the rest of the things the boys were saying weren't true. What crime? I never made you guys do anything. I don't even know what you guys did. What crime are you talking about? One of the 6 guys said something completely different from the others. He said, "No, I don't know him. He didn't make me do it. Yes, I did it, but He didn't make me do anything. I don't even know him. Guess what happened to that boy? According to Segun, the boy was beaten to an inch of his life. He was beaten to the point that he was bleeding from his nose, his mouth, and even his anus. How do you get someone to bleed from there? Beats me. After being beaten an inch of his life, Segun was also asked, did you make these boys do this? He said, no, I know some of them, but I have never made them do anything. And whatever it is they are here for, I did not make them do it. And he was beaten up. He was beaten up as well. Beaten up terribly. And then they were all thrown into jail. These boys were all minors. Did I mention that Segun was only 17? Legally, he wasn't even an adult. He was 17, so he was a minor. Surprisingly, the boy who said he didn't know Segun, he was 16 or 17, just like Segun. And the others, the other 5 musketeers, they ranged from 12 to 14. They were all thrown into jail. I know if you hear just that, you'd think, oh, did they kill someone? Did they butcher someone? Or maybe they assaulted a little child just like themselves. What on earth did these boys do? Apparently right now I'm finding it hard to say, did these boys do? What on earth did these boys do? Well, it had something to do with, guess, chicken, a bird, and eggs. Yeah, you heard me right. Chicken and eggs. The boys were thrown into jail after a couple of them suffered immense terrible beating for stealing chicken and eggs. So let me take you back to the beginning. A woman, she's at home at night. She hears a knock at the door and she's thinking, oh, is that a neighbor? Is that family? It's late at night, but okay, let me see who's at the door. This happened in 2010. So she opens the door and she sees a couple of these young kids, and I think about 3 of them or 2 of them. And when she opened the door and saw them and she asked, who are you looking for? One of them mentioned her daughter's name. She immediately screamed, thieves. She screamed out to the neighbors and everyone that thieves were at her door. And probably because she didn't recognize them or didn't know them, or maybe they had bad reputation, I don't know. But she screamed, thieves. And the boys got scared, so they scurried away. The next day, one of the boys went back to the same neighborhood close to this woman's house and was scouting one of the chickens, because there were just chickens around, roaming free, grazing and stuff like that. And he was scouting one of them because he wanted to steal it. It's giving Lawrence Anini childhood vibe. Remember that episode where he would see chicken, goats, and if it's out and about, he'd just assume, oh, you don't need it. Mine. My precious. It's giving that vibe. He sees the chicken. He decides, I want that chicken. He watches it, gets close, grabs it, and he's about to scurry away. What he didn't know was there was actually someone scouting him as he was scouting this chicken. And the man was a police officer. And that chicken was, you guessed it, his chicken. So the minute the boy grabbed it, about to run off, catches him, arrests him, and takes him to the police station. Why did you steal my chicken? People have been complaining that their chickens and hens are missing. Was that you? And he immediately gave everyone up. Yeah, that's me and my friends. We do it a lot. And he proceeded to tell them all the other member of his little gang of chicken thieves, and they were all rounded up. Now, these boys were really young that the officers believed, no, they're too young to be delinquents. Someone older must be putting them up to it. So they pressed and pressed and pressed until the boys gave a name. And the name they gave was Segun. Segun says, no, I didn't make them do anything. So why did they give Segun's name instead? We don't know. So now we're back to the arrest and them being in jail. When Segun was arrested from his dad's store, he was taken to the police station, but it was a small one in his small village. They really didn't have much responsibilities. I don't know if that's the right word, but they didn't have as much power to prosecute or carry out the legal proceedings that a bigger police station would. So the next day they transported him to the police headquarters in the state. That's where he met the other boys who confirmed, yes, it's Segun that put us up to it, and they were all put into jail. That was day 1. Day 2, they brought Segun out, questioned him again. Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? Was it you? And he said, no, I can't confess to something I didn't do. I didn't make them do anything. Again, they beat him up and threw him back into his jail cell. And in his jail cell, the other boy that was bleeding from all parts of his body, well, Segun had to take care of him. He felt like someone had to take care of him. He was bleeding really badly. He was really badly hurt. So Segun was taking care of him, trying to stop his bleeding, trying to help the cuts and bruises stay clean so he could heal. Day 3 came around and they brought them all out from the jail into the yard, and they gave them cutlasses, told them to cut all the grasses in the field. This part actually triggered my trauma because I have grass trauma. I know, weird. My trauma actually comes from high school. I went to a government high school and I had a love-hate situation for the school for so many reasons. But one of the reasons I hated the school was it wasn't intellectually stimulating enough for me because the teachers didn't really care if they were actually teaching you anything. Heck, they'll just throw their notebook at you, copy out the note on the board for the other students. Whenever I feel like I'm up for it, I'll come to the class and explain the note. Otherwise, just read and teach yourself. One time, my entire class of SS1, senior secondary 1, which is like senior high 1, the entire class, we were from SS1A all the way to SS1G because we were that many students. The entire SS1A to SS1G all failed math. Not a single one of us passed math that term. And that was term 1. We still had 2 more to go. So if everyone's failing, it's not because the students are bad. It's because the teacher is bad. So we got assigned a new teacher. And that's how some of us were able to pass the next term and the 3rd term. So yeah, the teachers didn't really care. But if you knew why you were in school, you try your best to make use of the library and the few books available there. I eventually learned to adapt and I had no issues with it. But my main issue was the grass cutting part. Now, the school was a very old school with a long history. It used to be a girls-only school at first. After some time, they started letting boys in as well. And once the boys arrived, when it was girls-only school, there was a fence around the school. So 1 entrance, 1 exit. Once they let the boys in, guess what happened to the gate? Someone just decided, gate, never heard of it. What is that even? Gate disappeared overnight for some reason. No more gate. Before you know it, the fence walls started having cracks and then broken down, smashed down. Suddenly, there were entrances into the school from different areas. Typically, you're supposed to be in school by 7:30 max. 7:31, you're late. But once the gates were gone, suddenly there were no more latecomers to punish because there were so many entrances to sneak into school. If you were a newcomer, a new student, you still want to follow the rules, So you pass through the same entrance that once used to have a gate, even though there are other entrances that you probably don't even know you could use. You walk in and you're late. Well, you're going to be gathered with other students who came late, and once the crowd was big enough, you'd be dispatched to walk around the whole school grounds and gather trash, snack wrappers, water sachets, and the rest. Take it to a heap of other trash that's probably been there for about a week or so. And during school hours in the classes, all the naughty students who are making noise and causing troubles will be all sent out to go clear those heaps of trash that's been there for God knows how long. And you do that with your bare hands as punishment. The crown jewel was what was called the PE day. I'm sure in your school or according to your memory, PE day actually meant where you learn sports like hoops, football, running, or maybe even cheerleading. Well, the version of my school's PE day was gardening. There was a huge plot of land that's garden, and the plot of land was divided evenly. And teachers would pay for their own plot. So they would bring seeds on the gardening day that's supposed to be PE day, and they'll walk over to your plot. The students who've been assigned that plot, they would hand the seeds to them. Plant these here. This is what I want on my plot. But that wasn't all the students because the plot, let's be real, wasn't big enough for all the students in the school who are supposed to be exercising. So some would be sent to do gardening and the others would be sent to, you guessed it, cut the grass all over the school, and they'd give you cutlasses. Sometimes I'd even ask you to bring yours. So sometimes the students would steal whatever cutlasses they were given this week, take it home, sharpen it, and bring it in next week so they could have a sharp cutlass to cut with. Because the cutlasses they would give us would just be a piece of metal that's been cut. One side is slightly sharp and the other is blunt as hell. It's so blunt. They'll hand it to you, no handle or anything, so we'll look for old tires or anything rubber to wrap around one end so we could use it as the handle. Calluses all over your hands. And some of us didn't even know how to cut grass, like myself. So either you had something to trade with those who could, like the young, growing teenage boys with so much energy that they'll cut theirs and walk around over to their crush's piece and say, "Hey, I can be useful to you. Watch this," and they'll clear your plot of land in record time. I got a couple of those. But again, if you're not interested in them and their friendship or relationship, it means the next week you're on your own. I didn't know how to cut grass, and I'm a very emotional person that if I'm hungry, hangry, sad, frustrated, scared, I'm gonna cry. So most times if I try to cut the grass and I can't, I'm gonna burst into tears till my eyes would get red. Sometimes my classmates will take pity on me and help, or sometimes you have to trade labor for favor. Help with homework, help with school notes, help with tests, whatever it is you have to offer. We all did what we could. The girls, we could offer academic favor in exchange for the brute strength of growing teenage boys to help with the land. And I was always very scared of cutting grass because one time I came face to face with a baby snake, a green snake. I have a massive phobia for snakes. Ever since then, I'd do anything to be on the gardening squad. So I really hate grass for that. Even in my residence, I'd happily opt for fake grass over real grass. Imagine prison. They're given the same, in prison I've seen pictures, they're given the same kind of cutlasses we were given in school. Probably very blunt. You have to work with it, get calluses all over. So on day 3, Segun and the rest of the boys were taken to the field and a couple others cut the grasses. They do that and they're taken back into their cell, and they were there for over 16 or 17 days. After that, they were taken to court, and when they arrived at court, suddenly Segun is hearing that the boys were involved in armed robbery. He saw guns that he never even saw before in his life, according to him. He never used before, according to him. But the officers were presenting it to the court as evidence. This is the gun they used in their armed robbery. And also, the cutlasses they were given to cut grass with in prison was also submitted to the court, the same ones as evidence of the weapon they used in the robbery.
When this issue come up, they are talking about cutlasses, they gun, this and that. I can tell to the old Nigeria, and I will still repeat it. If there is anything they will bring down to swear, I will still continue to say it is the cutlass follow us from the police station. We use it to cut the grass. From the police station, they took the cutlass into their van. From there to SAS. That's what I know about the cutlass. The day gun, I don't know anything about the gun until court, where they were carrying those exhibits come. That's the first day I saw a day gun.
Now in Nigeria, if you're involved in armed robbery or any kind of crime where you have a weapon, you're facing capital punishment, which is death sentence. If you had no weapon during the time of the crime, you're looking at death by hanging. If you commit crimes like homicide, rape, kidnapping, and the likes, you usually get death by hanging. And if you commit crimes like armed robbery, kidnapping with deadly weapon, or any crime involves you carrying deadly weapon with you, you likely get killed by firing squad. These cutlasses are being presented as evidence of weapons they used, and guns he says he never saw before in his life were also presented, and that's when he realized he was facing capital punishment. He was devastated. He was taken to court for his trial as well as the boys, and the trial lasted 4 years. That's a very long time to know your fate. In some countries, it takes about a few months, probably a year at best. To this day, Nigeria still takes over 4 years of court trials to come to a verdict and sentencing when it comes to criminal charges and court trials. He spends 2 years in prison awaiting his court trial. He spends 4 years on trial. The sentencing came in. He was found guilty of armed robbery and he was sentenced to death by hanging. Then he was transported to a maximum security prison. There is one in Lagos known as Kirikiri, and there is one in Abeokuta. Since the one in Abeokuta was the closest to him, he was sent to Abeokuta. And I forgot to mention, Segun is from Osun State. and he lived there his whole life, grew up there, but now he was being taken away from home to a maximum security prison in Abeokuta. When he was there, he recounted his experience that the depression in that place is deadly. The other guy that was beaten till he was bleeding badly, he ended up developing mental illnesses in the prison due to the depressing conditions and how miserable his life felt. But Segun never lost hope. He believed in his innocence and he believed in his story, and he never gave up on himself. So many people believed in his innocence as well, and there was this woman who was part of a foundation who actually took up his case and fought his battle from the outside, spoke to people who could help, spoke to government officials, presented his case, and tried to prove his innocence. Eventually, the governor of Osun State looked into his case and agreed that he was wrongly prosecuted, and he granted him a pardon in December of 2024 after spending over 14 years in prison. After 14 long, sad, depressing years, Segun was released back to pick up his life again and try to fit back into society, which he did beautifully. He is full of positivity, so optimistic and so pleasant to the point that it's refreshing. When he was interviewed about his opinions and his feelings towards the whole situation, the only thing he said was, "I can't ask for anything. I won't ask for anything more. My freedom alone is enough. People don't know how important freedom is, and I'm just lucky and happy to have my freedom back."
I don't need anything. No, I'm okay with this. Only for me to gain this freedom, I'm okay. Because prison is not, it's not a good place. It's not a child play for someone to be in that place. I value this freedom. If anybody come to help me, to assist me, to become a good one to the society or to rise me in anything, I will appreciate. But having anything with the judge or justice or judiciary or anything, I don't have anything. I don't have anything against anyone. It's God that make my journey, my life to be like this. It's not any human being. If not for this, if not that God wants it to be like that, nobody can do it. I believe it's the hand of God. He wants me to become someone. He kept me inside that prison custody for that 14 years for a reason or for a purpose which doesn't know and disclose to anybody. I leave everything to God. I'm only just seeking for help and assistance from Nigeria, Osun State, and everybody that God sent to me. That's all.
He said that when he was in prison, there were a couple of police officers who actually took a liking to him because he put his head down and was just focused on believing in God and hoping that everything happens for a reason and someday the truth will be out and he would gain his freedom again. He strongly believed that his story wasn't over. So he gained education in prison, learned some skills. A couple of the correctional officers actually supported him. In his words, "They treated me like their own child." He was released due to the pardon by the governor. His family were so happy to have him back once more. He wasn't the only person who was pardoned by the governor. There were a couple of other inmates who were also pardoned by the governor. So now he's out. The news is all over everywhere, the internet, everywhere, that an inmate who was sentenced to death, who was on death row for over 8 years, who was in prison for over 14 years, was free. People had their doubts because most people still thought, really? He was sent to prison to be killed over chicken? There must be more. Definitely has to be more. So people were skeptical, but Segun was ready to piece his back together and make good use of the rest of his life. His only hope was to get a job, start an honest life, and start a family of his own. But a week after he was released from prison, and the other inmates were also released from prison, not all the inmates obviously, but the ones who were pardoned by the governor, a week after they were out, one of those inmates was thrown back into prison. And when the news broke out, literally a week later, reporters, blogs, the news media, they started reporting about the inmate who was thrown back into prison after being pardoned by the governor, and they used Segun's picture. So now people were believing that Segun was the one thrown back into prison. Literally after all the battles that were being fought for his release, he went on to commit a crime a week after his freedom. So when Segun heard this, he was scared. He was afraid of what the public might do to him. He was afraid to speak to reporters or anyone who reached out to hear his side of the story. He just stayed quiet and tried to keep himself safe. So when reporters, when news stations, everyone reached out to confirm if it was indeed him who was thrown into prison or not, he was too afraid because, the last time he was sought after, he lost 14 years of his life. So he didn't speak to anyone, and that probably made people really cement their belief that it was him. But it wasn't him. It was some guy named Sunday who stole a television. That really gives a new meaning to petty thief. Chicken, television. He stole a television that was worth 600,000 naira, and he was thrown back into prison. After some time, Segun was finally ready to tell his story, and he told his story to reporters. He went on TV. He participated in a documentary that told his story. He was asked about a rumor that his family tried to pay his bail when he was initially arrested, and it didn't happen. But it turns out that even if the family could afford his bail, if you're arrested for a severe crime and facing capital punishment, you don't get any kind of bail. You're to sit in prison until your sentencing to be found guilty or innocent. That is the story of Segun Olowookere. There was this lawyer that was interviewed over Segun's case, and he was asked if He was asked if there was any legal compensation that Segun could get over the conviction. The lawyer said that because Segun's case it's not stopping. I don't know why. But we push forward. The lawyer was asked if there was any compensation, like government compensation that Segun could get for the wrongful imprisonment. The lawyer said that there wasn't any, and he explained why. He said since he was convicted and sentenced, that the best course of action would have been for his lawyer to file an appeal, but it wasn't done. If he had filed an appeal and his sentencing was overturned, that would have given him a clean slate. But a pardon basically meant you committed the crime, but now you're forgiven. So in the eyes of the law, he did the crime, he's only being forgiven, but he doesn't get to be compensated for the years he lost over a crime that he believes in, says he didn't do. It's been 10 minutes and I still have a hiccup. What's going on? The only thing I can say is that I am very happy that Segun was able to keep his sanity during the long, depressing years, because God in heaven knows I'd come out of there with all my screws loose. Probably I'd go on some propaganda mission, but he's just positive and grateful to be a free man again. And that is a lesson to all of us. Never to take anything for granted, even something as normal as our freedom. That is all for today. The next time you eat chicken and it's delicious, maybe don't make a joke about how the chicken is to die for, because a young man literally almost died for chicken and eggs. Thank you so much for joining me today, and please do let me know in the comment below your opinions and thoughts about the case. If there's anything that was miscommunicated, if there was any information that was untrue, if there was any information that's pertinent to the story that I did not include, perhaps because I am not aware of it, or it simply escaped my mind, because today it's like all of my quirkiness just decided to gang up on me. I don't know what's happening today, but I apologized. I already locked in for this episode and I was going to talk about it, and nothing was going to make me change that plan, hence why I went ahead with it, and hopefully it's not that terrible. I never want to cheapen the quality of the episodes, and I hope you understand with me, and I promise that the next case will be delivered much eloquently and better. And suddenly I'm talking better now. I don't know. Satan, is that you? Get behind me, Satan. Anyways, thank you so much again for joining me today. I wanted this case to be a breath of fresh air that will sort of help us put things into perspective, because I took away a valuable lesson from this case, which is life is all about perspective. Some people find themselves in hard situations and all the takeaway is, oh, you're making me out to be the bad guy now? I'm gonna show them how bad I can be. I'm gonna beat the record. Like the Sunday guy, the minute he was released on pardon, he went back into a life of crime a week later. Meanwhile, there are others who are full of positivity, full of hope, full of gratitude, that even though it's sad that he has to be grateful for earning his freedom back after being wrongly imprisoned. I searched with the available reports I could find, and I didn't see anything that looked like evidence he committed this crime. All the news reports say he was wrongly imprisoned. I haven't seen any shred of evidence so far from my research that he indeed committed this crime. The individual involved in the case himself says he's innocent, and if you have any proof to say otherwise, please do share with me, because again, I don't want to spread wrong information. I don't want to mislead anyone, and ultimately my reports of these cases are not to change or sway your own opinions. It's not to implant my thoughts and conclusions into your mind. It's just to give you the information presented to you. Always do your own research on your own, in your own time, and draw your own conclusions, make up your own opinions. In my opinion, is not automatically expected to be your opinion. I'm just presenting the information to you. So please, no one should sue me. Thank you. I also find today's case to be not easy to digest, but on a scale of the previous stories we've talked about, this is by far the least crime so far. Stealing of chickens, stealing of televisions. Yes, wrongful imprisonment is bad. Years of a person's life being taken from them is devastating, wrecking even. I would lose my marble. I'd come out there like a Looney Tune character. But this case, on a scale with the other cases we've presented, it's easier to listen through. And I sincerely wish that a young man's life didn't have to be impacted the way it was in this case. That is all for now. And don't forget, evil doesn't always look like evil. Sometimes we have this image of what evil looks like, what a monster looks like. Don't falsely accuse anyone of anything. And if someone's accused of something, please try to find proof and evidence that that actually happened. Live and let live. Be good. Stay safe. And I love you for joining me today. And I will love you still if you show up for the next episode. But until next time, take care of yourself. I will see you soon. Bye. Stay strong, Segun.